don't get it. I mean, Tom Brady, the broadcaster?
He's Tom Brady, and I'm Kevin Burkhardt, and you're a broadcaster. How about that?
Welcome to American Baller, where we focus on all things NFL. Don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell for future videos. Thus far, Tom Brady's career covering the league and broadcasting has gotten off to a much shakier start than his time actually in the NFL. While on the gridiron, Tom was forced to play the role of the underdog and earn his way to the top. Following his playing career, he was given a 10-year, $375 million deal from Fox Sports, making him not only the highest paid in the field, but making $1 million more per year than the second and third highest paid analysts combined. While on paper, Brady was made for this role. Being one of the most accomplished and intelligent football minds of all time, it has been a roller coaster of a year so far through the first half of the season. During his time with the New England Patriots, Brady got in his fair share of trouble with the league, most notably the Spygate and Deflategate scandals. However, this has not changed in the slightest in retirement, and he's still at odds with the NFL. Recently, Roger Goodell issued a serious warning to Brady due to him being too tough on teams and singling out players while in the booth. Inside sources of the league have claimed that players feel as if he's overstepping his role and claim that he is negatively impacting team morale. One unnamed player went as far as saying, "It's one thing to hear criticism from analysts, but when it's coming from someone like Tom Brady, who's been in the trenches and knows the game, it hits different." His words carry a lot of weight, and when he talks down on a team's performance, it can really affect the locker room. While the comments from Brady should not come as a surprise from anyone who followed him during his NFL career, the response from teams and players around the league is a bit shocking. Going as far as to say an analyst's remarks about a certain player or team is the reason for a losing streak seems insane. However, just days after receiving this warning from the league, Brady went on to unintentionally make his most divisive statement yet that already got him in more hot water. Pairing this with the fact that the league has gone on to restrict what he can do as a broadcaster following him joining the ownership team of the Las Vegas Raiders, this could end up being a failed experiment of a player who could seemingly do no wrong when he was on the field. Today, we'll break down some of Brady's most disrespectful calls that are the catalyst for this controversy, dive into how he has performed in the booth so far, determine if he needs to lay back on such harsh criticism or if everyone is overreacting, and answer the question of if he truly has a future in broadcasting. Some of Brady's most disrespectful calls. The first case that Brady truly called out a team in a way that caused some to raise their eyebrows came in week 2 when covering the game between the Dallas Cowboys and New Orleans Saints. During the game, Dak Prescott made what would have been a huge throw to wide receiver Jalen Brooks. However, Brooks stumbled and fell to the ground on his route that led to an easy interception for New Orleans. Brady was a bit set up on this, with his broadcasting partner Kevin Burkhardt asking if he would throw to Brooks again, to which Tom responded, "Not today. It's actually pretty tough to go back there because you know where he's at and you're saying, God, I'm going to him and I just can't count on him that he's gonna stay on his feet. You obviously trust him to do the right thing, but can he make the play?" In his next game, Brady set his sights on another Cowboys wide receiver, superstar wideout CeeDee Lamb. Following a fumble in the red zone from Lamb, it was clear he was not happy with the play and he let his frustrations show. He got into it a bit with Prescott on the sidelines, and it was clear that it was beginning to affect his performance on the field. This is something that Brady was quick to pick up on and didn't hesitate to call out, saying, "Don't see that from CeeDee much, just some of that body language from him today. CeeDee's a great player, there's no doubt about it. Just a little frustration on the sideline leads to frustration on the field. When I see him at his best, he's excitable, he brings the juice, brings the energy." While this was by no means anything too out of pocket and objectively a good catch by Brady, many Cowboys fans were not happy that he was going after their star receiver. Following his comments about Brooks last week, many felt as if he was piling on their team. The following week, Brady got himself in a bit of controversy that Brady found himself involved in came in week 3 when he covered his former team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A couple of weeks prior to Tom calling their game, the man that went on to replace him at the quarterback position with the Bucs made an appearance on a podcast. In this interview, he said, front office guys and Coach Bowles were all just saying just be yourself. That's all we want you to be. The building was a little bit different with Tom in here. Playing-wise, Tom's different. He had everyone dialed in, high-strung environment. So I think everyone was pretty stressed out, and everyone was expecting the Bucs to not be good last year, so they wanted me to come in, be myself, and bring the joy back to football a little little bit for guys that weren't having as much fun, and just continue to rise the competition levels. So they just asked me to be myself, and as a player, you really can't ask for much more than that. This clearly struck a nerve with Brady, who was always a player who valued winning over anything else. He sounded off on Mayfield and the Bucs prior to kickoff, saying, "I was gonna say, I thought stressful was not having Super Bowl rings. So there was a mindset of a champion that I took to work every day. This was not a daycare. If I wanted to have fun, I was gonna go to Disneyland with my kids. There's a way to approach this game, and that's with the right mindset and trying to push each other outside of our comfort zone, and great teammates do that. You come in, I have someone like Gronkowski, I have someone like Evans. There's high expectations for us. We have to make sure that we go out there and deliver." Arguably the comment that has gotten Brady in the most hot water yet since he began his broadcasting career came ironically 1 week following the league giving him a warning. In Week 8, Brady was covering the game between the Buffalo Bills and Seattle Seahawks. When discussing Bills quarterback Josh Allen, Tom said, "Sometimes he played like a spaz, like a grade schooler on a sugar high, but now he's controlled the chaos. And now he's like a storm coming into town, and you don't want a storm coming into town." Almost instantly, fans around the league took to social media to tee off on Brady. For those that don't know, the term is a slur against disabled people who suffer from involuntary movements. However, it was clear that Brady meant this as an endearing compliment to how much Allen has improved over the years. The two have been close for some time now, most notably facing off against each other in a celebrity golf match. Following this matchup, Brady named Allen his LFG player of the game, and it's clear that he has a lot of respect for the way that Allen plays the game. However, dropping a word like this that got so many listeners upset just 1 week after being warned by the league to reel it in is not a good look for Brady in the slightest. How has Brady been as a broadcaster so far? It's safe to say that Tom is far from as great of a broadcaster as he was a football player. It could also easily be argued that he's nowhere near worth the $375 million that Fox Sports is set to give him over the next 10 years. However, in just 8 weeks in the booth, he's already come a long way. While he still has his moments on almost a weekly basis in which he says stuff that really doesn't make any sense, struggles to get his thoughts out at times, and has a fair share of awkward moments, this is to be expected out of a rookie. Similar to someone on the gridiron, in your first year, you're gonna make some stupid mistakes, and things are not always gonna be pretty as you're learning and attempting to perform on the highest stage. Even with the rough patches, there are also times in which the incredible football mind of Brady shines through, and he's able to deliver insight that almost no one else on the planet could. While he's been called out for being a bit too tough on teams and individual players from time to time, it could be argued that this is something that the game needed, and comments like this show that he's being his authentic self in the booth. While there's still a lot of room for improvement and polishing in Brady's commentating, he's well on his way to being able to hold his own. While he'll never likely be a top-tier broadcaster like he was a quarterback, it won't be long before he's someone you are excited to watch and hear cover your favorite team's games rather than dreading it. Does Tom need to reel it in, or are people overreacting? Obviously, from the clips we've seen so far, Brady's still a bit raw and unfiltered as a commentator. At times, it still sounds like he's a quarterback watching the game and giving his thoughts rather than a polished and objective analyst. And depending on what kind of experience you're looking for when watching the game, this could be something that appeals to you or makes you watch the game on mute. For his own sake, he needs to brush up on the things that can and cannot be said on TV so he doesn't run into another situation like his Week 8 debacle involving Josh Allen. And for the sake of the players, he could filter his criticisms a bit. However, for the most part, things are being blown a bit out of proportion, and there was no real reason for the league to issue a warning, at times singling out Brady directly. Does Brady have a future in broadcasting? While Brady has greatly improved as a broadcaster since the beginning of the season, his future in this field has recently become a lot more complicated. He recently joined the ownership group of the Las Vegas Raiders, and with this, there are a lot stricter rules he must follow when calling games, or his pockets are gonna start to hurt. Some of these restrictions involve not being allowed in another team's facility or at their practices. He can't attend in-person or virtual broadcast production meetings with coaches or players. Brady can no longer publicly criticize officials or other teams. He must follow the NFL's gambling policy. Finally, he must follow the league's anti-tampering rules. This will make his job much more difficult, and if he breaks any of these rules, he'll be subject to fines. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more content that takes you beyond the stats and into the real stories shaping the NFL.